Hi there, guys. God bless you, and thank you for joining us once again. Got an interesting article coming out for you today. Bill Gates insider exposes chemtrails program that destroys the brain's ability to think critically. If you've sort of like just noticed, guys, just put up quite a few links for you in the chat. So if you're wanting to have a little bit of a refresh as to some of the content surrounding the chemtrails debate, there's quite a few there for you to get stuck into, videos that we've made in advance or at least earlier. So hoping that you'll be able to just take some time just to go through just some of those. I think there's like 3, 4, 5 or 6 or whatever there for you. So as per usual, guys, what we end up doing is just having a little bit of a refresh, going over some article headlines relating to the chemtrails, and then we sort of like tuck on into the interview as well. God bless you. Thank you, guys, for being here. Here we go. Let's have a little bit of a refresh, shall we, as to what's been going on. We're going to be looking at today's article. Bill Gates insider exposes chemtrails program that destroys the brain's ability to think critically. Hoping also you've been able to see our read all about it, and you can read all about it too as well, where we put some end time headlines in there for you. One of those was also meteorologists announce 4, this is hilarious, this is 4 new cloud species as chemtrail normalization campaign escalates. In a move to normalize chemtrails and gaslight the public, meteorologists have officially added new cloud types to the International Cloud Atlas, and several of them are directly linked to geoengineering activity. This is quite funny. Among the most striking additions is the volatus. Do you know what I mean? You can't make it up, can you? Yeah, continue. Another headlines relating to this. RFK arrests Bill Gates for aiding the enemy and spraying chemicals and chemtrails on Americans. We've been covering some of that. Also, Trump warns Bill Gates' days are numbered following RFK's chemtrail intervention. Yes, but you're still going to invite him over for tea, aren't you? Awesome. Florida judge blows the whistle. US government spent $6.5 billion on chemtrails without public consent. These are the guys that turn around and just say that this is a conspiracy. Some of the videos that you've got there for your attention, guys, this is coming out from, literally, no joke, you know, whistleblowers and insiders, those that have risked their lives to actually expose this agenda. Continuing, Israel exposed. This is where the connect is for today's live, in a sense. Israel exposed funding 150 million tons of mood-altering chemtrails sprayed on US cities. Behind closed doors, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Chemtrail Task Force has dropped a quiet but devastating bombshell. Using encrypted DOGE channels to cloak their movements, the team infiltrated DARPA's classified financial network. And what they uncovered was nothing short of astonishing. This mood altering. So we're seeing this, aren't we? We're seeing like fogvid over Christmas, a whole period of time where it was just like this blanket of like smart dust of goodness knows what it was that we were inhaling. All of this, you know, aluminium and barium and etc. All of these toxins, all these carcinogenics, all of this lead, all of this mercury, everything that's destroying the agriculture and the farming, let alone something that we're breathing in as well, sterilizing us when it comes to Aerovax and that being sprayed over Canadian, you know, cities and etc. And now also the other component of that, where they've sort of like thought, well, okay, if we're spraying all this, why don't we stick some drugs into those cylinders and just like, you know, spray those everywhere, all over the individual people, control what it is that they think aggravate, you know, existing medical conditions for them, you know, trigger such things as insomnia and the like, as well as, you know, assaulting the brain when it comes to mental health. But mood altering chemicals sprayed on US city as Israel exposed doing that. In other headlines, chemtrails vanish overnight as government shutdown exposes secret spraying program. 14 nations signed the WEF Chemtrails Treaty to improve humanity by intensifying sky spraying operations. This is no joke, guys. These are genuine headlines. Okay, 14 nations, every one of them captured by the World Economic Forum, just signed a treaty that gives them the power to spray our skies with chemtrails, and they're selling it as a way to improve humanity. So this is why you get Bill Gates coming over here when it comes to, spraying and dimming out of the sun and doing all of that. And their weather program is called Satan, the prince and power of the air. We're not seeing this play out in real time. Chemtrails task force, Bill Gates' sun dimming experiment is reducing lifespans by 20 years. You got no idea what these things are literally doing. I don't smoke, but I have not been able to budge this chest infection that I've had for months and months and months. Why? Because I spend such an enormous amount of my time outside praying and going for walks. I walk about 5-10 miles every day. I need to do that to chop up my day. That's my routine, in order that I can continually bury my head into all of this darkness. And I'm having that as an aggravated condition. I'm not able to shift it. Turning around and saying that some of these chemicals actually reduce our lifespan. Some of this is there to vaccinate you without your consent. Some of this also is out there to sterilize you. This has also got behavioral sort of components in them. And if you think that's a far stretch of the imagination, it's not too difficult for a few evil scientists to, collectively get together and think, right, let's get some uppers or some downers and mix all of those up and match all of those and then aerosolize it and stick it up in the atmosphere. And then we end up breathing it all in. And that's just as much as like a gas chamber, is it not? We're having these things being put overhead and being weaponized against us. And people don't want to be looking up and asking the question, why is there a Connect 4 in the sky? Is that just today's, daily dose? Seeing how it is that they're able to just like blot out the sun, and how we become so starved because of it when we're not getting the vitamins that we need. Happy vitamins, vitamin D, vitamin C's, all of those sorts of things for agriculture and life, and for our bodies that really need that. Mood altering in the sense of having, sunlight. And these are also there. So 20 years just reducing all of that as these guys surrender, all right, our airwaves. And this is the first thing when you want to wage war on people or you want to depopulate them. The first thing that you do is you have to get militarily aerial supremacy, and you control the skies. Whoever controls the skies controls everything. And we're not seeing that. It's like over here in the UK, how pathetic and, awful our government is when it cannot secure our borders and keep a few little rubber dinghies out, and it can't sort of like protect our skies when it comes to what's being, sprayed overhead. And this is indiscriminate spraying, brothers and sisters. It's not just targeted, just like it is for me when they all three of them in a row like that, and then come and dive down at me as I'm sat on a bank by a river praying. And I'm seeing all this, and then all of a sudden I'm shaking like this violently. It's not by coincidence, all of this. And this is indiscriminate. Those that work for the beast system and those that are on the other end of that, those police officers and security services that like to spy upon us. Let's also, take a little bit of a moment here for you lot as well. You're having this sprayed over you. You're having this sprayed over your loved ones, over your community. Then they're not just indiscriminately targeting a people group like it's been in the past, where they just want to exterminate one particular type of person. This is indiscriminate. This is every woman and child. Chemtrails pilot daughters found decapitated days after he blew the whistle. These are some of the dangers, guys. I would really encourage you to see some of the videos that are out there, because these individuals have been incredibly brave, and I mean incredibly brave, to bring this information to you so that you've got that. I'd add that to your knowledge base. There's about half a dozen or so videos that are there as what we're covering now in headlines, as well as the one here, so that we're bringing this into the situation. RFK releases evidence. Most cancer is a fake disease caused by chemtrails. Bill Gates granted emergency powers. How is this possible? To spray chemicals on 41 million Canadians. Oh, well, Mark Carney, the WEF, as we were saying before, how 14 nations said, help yourself. All right, you got no problem signing that over. When these guys are sort of like in their bunkers and stuff, and I'm wondering whether the beast system gets given a particular timetable of when it is that they can't go outside, or shouldn't perhaps go outside and do some of that breathing. How this is destroying agriculture and farming and individuals' health, as this has been sprayed over schools, over children, over the elderly. And then what? Giving him emergency powers for what purpose? What conceivable purpose? They told us it was all a conspiracy theory, chemtrails and forced vaccinations. Weather-controlled biotech, now it's official policy. Bill Gates has been granted emergency authorization to spray aerosolized mRNA over 41 million Canadians. No needles required. It's called Aerovax. Report confirms chemtrails were used to trigger Lynmouth flood disasters in 1952. RFK vows to arrest Bill Gates for orchestrating devastating US floods via chemtrails. This is also what Augustus and Rainmaker, and being funded by Peter Thiel, all did as well. They had all of their sort of like chemtrails and weather manipulation devices in the air, and then causing all that horrific flooding for those dear children that just got swept away. Turning around and saying that you've got all of these sort of like arrest warrants for Bill Gates. How is that man still walking around free? How is it even conceivable? These guys got no intent, but these are the countermeasures that they want to sort of like control and fob you off, because RFK is nothing more than controlled opposition. He's got no intention of arresting Bill Gates. Neither has Donald Trump. He's protected as the beast system's representative. You would not be able to touch that man. But we're led to believe, that one day he's gonna experience justice. One day we'll get him, and we'll have these Nuremberg trials sort of like things. Absolutely nonsense. The Nuremberg trials, when they happened, just in and around 1940, sort of like 8, was an absolute joke. Most of them, only a handful of them actually ended up getting executed and hung. The majority of the rest of them ended up, being put into jail and never even serving their jail sentence before they were released, let alone those that escaped and headed off over to South America and Argentina. It's an absolute joke. Florida cracks down on chemtrails. Airports must report planes, pilots, and operations. This is what we've been encouraging people to do over here. It's like, write down some of these things. But even when you give it to the police force, what do they do with it? I've done that. As soon as I had that incident, and I've got Hercules transport planes clipping the trees that I'm under because it's raining, spraying stuff at me deliberately, purposely, heading towards me when I'm in the middle of nowhere. And I'm literally sort of like violently shaking, violently sweating. Okay, I thought I was gonna die. That's how bad it was. All right, and this was in the middle of the summer. It was almost as like I was out in a t-shirt, and I felt like I was in a freezer. My body was fighting whatever I had just ingested, one way or the other. And I phoned up the police and said all of this, and then he was so dismissive, so arrogant, so rude to me. And I was like, I've got all this information. Can I give that to you, please? I'd like to raise a complaint. Being really British and cordial about it. Absolute hilarity, and they don't do anything about it. This is why I've got a problem with law enforcement. It's like, what have you been doing about the chemtrails all overhead? What have you been doing about all of the people that are dropping dead from these vaccines? What are you doing about the weaponization of the food and the water? And are you going to be a hypocrite in 2 days' time and wear a nice little poppy on here when you're taking away our right to freedoms? We can't pray, we can't preach, we can't protest, we can't do any of these things. NASA. Doctors expose secret chemtrails plot to cause apocalyptic natural disasters in 2025. We're seeing some of that in other nations around that are having unprecedented sort of like flooding and monsoons and damage. Other places are having ridiculous fires that just seem to be cropping up every now and then. These direct energy weapons that are being used against us. Tell that to Maui, tell that to LA. Marjorie Taylor Greene introduces chemtrail bill to criminalize weather modification. The evidence is undeniable, but these guys do not, ever get into a court of law, do they? They escape because they're protected by the besom. Revelation 17:13. They are all of one mind, all of one purpose, and give their power to the beast, which is why you can have 14 nations that can literally sign up and said, help yourself, spray what you like. It sort of like follows in suit with our depopulation agenda from the Club of Rome. Chemtrails task force busts DARPA plot to spray mRNA bioweapons across the US, but they're doing it. You got any idea what's in some of those, like, things? So when I'm picking for my guinea pigs, okay, and I'll mix up their diet because I want to. And sometimes I'll go to this farmer's field. And he's so lovely, he's so kind to me, allows me to walk around it and just have total freedom, do what I want. Really gracious guy. And I'll sort of like be a bit cheeky and pick up a carrier bag's worth of grass for them. And as I'm picking it up, I used to, be able to sort of just like pick it up and it would all come. There'd be no soil, there'd be no roots, there'd be no mud on it. I'm literally just picking up normally like you would a handful of like something, and I'm peeling up enormous roots. And then these farmers are literally sort of like mucking their fields, right, because they've got really amazing weather programs to do this and know exactly when things are happening, so that they can muck all of their fields so that the rain can come down, go right down into the very roots of all of it. And all of a sudden they're finding it's like now it's not raining. Yeah. And then when it comes to harvesting later on down the crops, it's a case of absolutely flooding it out so that that feed is so wet, so damp, so moist, it can't even be used for human, eating or consumption, let alone animal consumption. And it's ruined. And then they stick all these, enormous like taxes onto farmers and agriculture. And that's it. You take out farming, you take out food. Florida, and this is the oscillating storyline. Always Florida bans it. Florida does nothing. Florida becomes first state to ban chemtrails and jail perpetrators. Really? I haven't seen anybody being jailed for this. I haven't seen any of it. And I spent all morning before I come onto the live looking at headlines. And I type in so many different searches for so many different articles. Not once have I heard anything about that. Chemtrails task force exposes Bill Gates' bioweapons with rare cancers surging in spray zones. It's inconceivable. Chemtrails pilot confesses on his deathbed Bill Gates is planning an American Holocaust. And this was it. When that dude got like a pie in his face, that's the day that man decided that he wanted to kill the human race. He is an absolute monster. Absolute monster. One of the most evil men in this world is Bill Gates. And these governments that literally sit down and invite him over to India, to Africa. Here, use this country, my country, as an experimentation for your deadly, vaccines. Here you go in Indonesia. Here you go in Singapore. Here you go in wherever. And wherever this guy goes, he is involved in so many projects that are all hell-bent on this eugenist, depopulation agenda, wants to kill every living soul on this planet. And for an old fart like him, why can't he go and lead by example? Louisiana joins nationwide push to ban chemtrails as House passes landmark bill. Nonsense. Poll. Most Americans support laws banning chemtrails. It should be every single one of you. US bioweapons official testifies DARPA spraying chemtrails to delete the God gene. We were speaking about this the other day, weren't we? You've heard of psychological warfare. You've heard of information warfare. But what if I told you the war being waged right now against you is spiritual? Well, it is, according to a US bioweapons expert from DARPA. And please see the videos that we've put in there at the front of this chat, guys, because you can see these guys in a sort of like Pentagon meeting, okay, where some dude's been brave enough to record it from the back. All right, every single thing. And they thought of, okay, how do we take out terrorists and their ideology? We can spray them with a certain thing that targets a certain part of their brain that removes all of that. And then you've got other videos that are out on X that says, people are having vaccines and they're like, I can't feel God anymore. I can't sense God anymore. They've been able to mess with my DNA. They've been able to cut off that part of it using these drugs. I've had acid in my youth. I've had uppers and downers, all of that sort of stuff. These drugs can have an impact upon you, not always for the good, not always for your betterment. But we're saying that this is what these guys are literally doing. They're doing this overhead, and they're doing it without mercy. Paul Rand, DHS plotting to spread Ebola via secret chemtrail operations. Lawmaker becomes first state, says here, Florida becomes first state to declare chemtrails a felony. Lawmakers vow to hunt down criminals. It's not happening fast enough, isn't it? You set up a task force. They ought to be grounded instantly. Every single plane, right? This guy should have enough authority and power to turn around and say, right, I'm a part of this. I want military aircraft. I want helicopters. I want drones. I want those. If anyone is not, all right, sort of like a commercial aircraft, or if they're not on a business and their flight cannot be logged and everything pertaining to that, I bust every single airport and make sure that all of its sort of like content was actually a plane. And if they could not satisfy me in that regard, I'd shoot it out of the sky, telling me that it's not important with 9/11 and what happened in New York as being something where you might want to secure your skies with and for. How is it that you can take over the airspace just like that? And what, air traffic control isn't seemingly doing anything about it? China begins spraying chemtrails with Gates-funded drones. Guys, there's so many videos over on our Rumble channel relating to this. I've seen these massive drones. They are humongous, almost the size of a helicopter. Okay, and these guys have literally been spraying in and around, and I've seen them being taken off. Okay, trucks that have just appeared in the middle of the night, and they're going down the road like something out of like a Harry Plopper movie, and just spraying indiscriminately, spraying over areas. Pilot testifies Bill Gates spraying chemicals in Canada causing mass psychosis and suicide. Oh, well, there's a nice, medical assistance in dying and a euthanasia bill to cover that one, isn't there? Absolutely heartbreaking when these guys break trust to the degree in which they do. We don't say anything about it. We just suck it up. We can't even look up, can we? It's interesting, isn't it? That video on Netflix, Don't Look Up. Wasn't that telling? Here you go. Trump's chemtrail task force exposes DARPA plots to murder 170 million Americans. It's just like, if they've got one plane, just imagine how deadly that one plane could be. If that sprayed Ebola, or if that sprayed some other sort of like Wuhan lab. All right. And imagine if that was done over a football stadium, or if that was done at some event, and then that went off to all of the four corners of the world. Could you just imagine that? How damaging and detrimental it is? I'd be grounding every single plane and saying, right, you're done. You're done. And I'd have trackers, and every single plane would be marshaled. Then instead of having these stupid things on our roofs like solar panels after blotting out the sun, okay, we should have some surface to air missiles so that we can see and type it in ourselves and defend our own self in that way. But we don't. We look to the government to do that, and what a poor job they do. Millions of bees drop dead across the UK as sun blocking chemtrails, and that program goes live. Please see the videos we've got over there. This dear lady in her back garden, and she's just seeing so many of them just falling out of the skies. And it's a real important part of the ecosystem. Saw a friend a couple of weeks ago on my prayer walk coming back in, and he sort of is a bee husbandry, I think they call it like that or something. And he's got like loads of bees, and he's struggling to get them breeding, struggling to get them to do anything or go out, because these guys are aware of those poisons. They're aware of these toxins. And this is where it gets awful. UK names weather control program Satan. Chemtrails no longer a conspiracy theory. Okay, the UK has officially launched a geoengineering program under the acronym Satan, which stands for Stratospheric Aerosol Transport and Nucleation. And yes, it involves spraying chemicals into the stratosphere. Bill Gates set to profit millions from UK's decision to block the sun via chemtrails. Why is that? Do you know what I mean? It's to destroy agriculture. It's to destroy farming. It's also just to create the world and make it all nice and dark and gloomy and miserable for when the Antichrist comes up, so he can feel a little bit more at home. Sorry. Major US city declares public health emergency as chemtrails flood the sky. Trump's chemtrails task force makes first major geoengineering arrest in US. I don't believe you. I don't. Trump administration launches crackdown on geoengineering firms spraying chemtrails to block the sun. Bill Gates, lastly, I'll leave it here. Bill Gates admits China is helping him spray radioactive chemtrails on US cities. And you can stick in some sort of like, you know, THC or whatever and this and just chill people out. You can stick it on there and aggravate them and make them psychotic with like acid and stuff like that. It's just so easy for them to be doing it. Guys, we are going to be looking at this article in a moment after I've checked in with you, and it's titled Bill Gates Insider Exposes Chemtrails Program That Destroys the Brain's Ability to Think Critically. Hoping that you've been able to see. God bless you, 48 people. What a blessing. All glory to the Lord. Right, but there's about half a dozen videos that we've put up here, guys, already, so that you can go and have a little look. See, you can listen to these insiders and make your own mind up. There is so much information in those videos. You know what I mean? It is death by PowerPoint and it is information overload, but some really interesting stuff there. Not to toot our own horn, but a lot of work has gone in there for you. And that's what we do. Give you the headlines, give you the visuals, give you a follow-up post after the live, and then sort of like exhaust it so that we leave what we discuss to a point of being beyond reproach, beyond contestation. Thank you, Ashe, for being here. Bless you guys. Hi there, Dorothy Fishka. Please do subscribe to our dear brother over at Spiritual Logic for Truth. He comes out with some amazing content. He really does. I've been able to go and have a little look-see at some of your stuff. God bless you and your ministry. Bless you. Hi, Sue. Yeah, Sherry saying, daughter of Ishkar, they sprayed all over here yesterday. Lions, rainbow effects, sun dogs, and then a headache. It is exactly that. The knock-on effects are really damaging, really deadly. And I've had that violent shakes, not been able to regulate my own body temperature, literally throwing up violently. And it takes me a lot to throw up. I've got a strong stomach. But weakening all of that, spraying without our consent, this smart dust, you know, vaccinate us against our will with Aerovax, let alone these psychedelic drugs that they also put over our heads, indiscriminately to people. They can't control where the wind goes. Yeah, and they're doing a lot more of it, Sue, over in the nighttime because people have been a lot more cottoned on. So they do that, the toxic spraying. So that, you know, they'll work it out and they'll be like, I know what we'll do. We'll spray heavily in the nighttime, okay, and then we won't dim out the sun. We'll allow that to happen so that all of these chemicals lie on the ground, the surface, and then when it gets heated up, just like most things evil when it comes to vaccine gets, you know, heated up to body temperature, then it all kicks up. And I've been out a few times thinking, oh, it's a really nice clear sky, and then all of a sudden I'm walking, I'm kicking up all of this stuff, and I'm getting all these toxics and chemicals that are being thrown into my face because it's being warmed up by the sun and is creating this vapor and this mist and everything else. It's like ingenious. And now they're doing this sort of like sun dimming in the day, and then they're doing the poisonous chemicals at night. Hi, Jeremy. Good to see you. Bless you. Welcome. Hi, Alison. Yeah, absolutely. I know, right? It's awful, Sid, but they will pay. They will pay for it one day. They will pay for it one day. They will not escape the wrath of God. They will be dragged into his like, you know, courthouse as such, into his throne room, and they will be judged, and they'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth as they are steered and dragged away. And then when they are in hell, then they're going to be having so many people that are going to be down there that are going to be really ticked off with the likes of Bill Gates and all these global elites that think that they're going to be reigning and ruling in hell. Ain't going to be happening, man. I'm telling you. Going to be sat there rocking, and then someone's just going to want to come and have a piece of you lot for putting them there for it. They won't escape this judgment. Never will. They will here on this earth. Yeah, Revelation 11:18. Hi there, brutally honest. Bless you. You're in Argentina, but you're sipping some. Looks like a nice sort of like nice drink there. Good for you. Respect. I got my coffee. Love that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please do give a shout out to our mods because they work really hard 6 days a week. Hi there, Lois. Good to see you. Thank you guys for coming all on in. Really great to have you with us. Yeah, yes, Dan. We have analysed the hay foods we get from our horses because we love them, just like the piggies. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, bless you. All glory to the King. Yeah, Sue saying it. This will not cease until Jesus comes. All glory to Him. It's not going to cease. It's not going to. They're not going to stop. They're hell bent on this, and it's just like how much of a psychological maniac have you really got to be to want to turn around and think, I want the whole world to myself. I'm just going to kill everybody off. Not even Hitler was this vile. Not even he was that murderous. At least he had he was sticking to one people group, or is he not? These guys don't care what nationality you are. They don't care what age or gender or sexuality. They don't care at all. They kill you no matter what. They'll spray you no matter what. Tell us to eat the bugs and spray us as if we are as such. It's absolutely monstrous. Yeah, absolutely. I like that. Until Jesus come, yeah, is the entire reason for these events. Absolutely. Hi there, Cher. Bless you. Peace to you. White lines. It's like government prescribed drugs overhead, is it not? You know, my mum told me to stay away from them. Stay away from drugs. Like lines of Charlie all overhead, isn't it? You know? In steps Macron trying to hide his bag. Do you know what I mean? Wow. Hi, Laura. Good to see you guys. Thank you guys for creating such a safe space for everybody. Hi, Vladimir. Bless you, mate. Honest question, are we supposed to pray for them? I really like that. That's a really good question, because I tell you what, initially, and there's like civilian aircraft that fly around here, and I'm not going to say that it's just for me. It just seems to be really coincidental. When I go for my evening prayer walk, I can walk from where I am up to the top of the sort of like village, all right, and I'll go and sit on a fence about 5 minutes, look over the village and have a bit of a pray or whatever, and then I'll go around the other way route. And there's always like a white plane, and this white plane, all right, has got some different jet propulsions, because this is a plane that leaves no chemtrails for a start, so that's a bit sketchy, all right, but it can literally stay in a hover as if it's like a Harrier jet, or it's got some sort of like, you know, it just literally just stays there in the sky as if it's got this matrix moment. And initially I was just like, you know, I rebuke you in the name of the Lord, I rebuke you in the name of the Lord. And then I have to be honest, I started to flip them off. Do you know what I mean? Doing some really rude gestures, you know, read between the lines kind of a thing. All right. I confess, I did. I used to get so sick and so tired of these guys doing it and then follow me around everywhere. I felt so paranoid and sketched out, you know, and it's like, I just don't need that. And then I was just like, then I went through a different phase where I was like, I'm actually going to pray for them. But I've got a bit of a dark side. So I was like, Lord, I really don't want those guys to have a safe landing. Amen. Do you know what I mean? And they got to that. And now I'm just over it. So it's really up to you. If you want to pray for those guys, if you want to waste your breath, that's fine. And there are some people that are really gracious, really, really, really holy in some of those areas. And I'm just not. I'm just not. I'm sorry. I let them have it. No, let them have it. You know, they should have arrest warrants waiting for them when they touch down. It's like, what have you done? And taking samples out of the, you know, sort of like, you know, ailerons and etc. and out of all of these sort of like, that's what they should be doing. But nobody seems to mind, do they? Yeah, exactly. This is why Bill Gates has got so much land as well. He wants to control the water and wouldn't want his sort of like food and crops being sprayed over, would he? Yeah, maybe they even have some antidote. That's a good point. I've also thought that as well, Vladimir. I've also thought these guys will probably maybe have some of that when it comes to the mRNA, the anti-mRNA, because it's in everything, isn't it? Weaponize it in the, what is it now, dental floss, weaponize it in the food and the water, spray it over. They've got to have something like that. Or they get given some sort of like timetable. Yeah, you probably don't want to eat that product. You probably don't want to go outside and, you know, be with your family or go for a run during these hours of whatever, because we're going to spray some crap on you. Let's do the article, shall we, guys? God bless you. Great to see so many of you guys turning up today. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Here we go. Bill Gates Insider exposes chemtrails program that destroys the brain's ability to think critically. So that's why there's so many numpties walking about. All right, let's get into this then now. An insider from the world's most powerful tech philanthropic empire has broken his silence, revealing the details of a multi-year aerosol program designed to shut down critical thought itself, an operation that targets perception, memory, and free will. He says it's been running for years under the radar, funded through climate initiatives, executives through private contractors, and tested on unsuspecting populations. What started as a weather modification trial has turned into something else entirely, a mass scale neurological experiment. And today we play you this recording, and I'll leave the article for you guys to have a little look-see. The one that he says cost him everything. For years, independent researchers, pilots, biologists, and whistleblowers, please see the videos at the start of our chat, have been warning about what's being sprayed into our skies. Aluminium, barium, strontium, and conductive metals so toxic they make your head spin. And here's the terrifying truth. Whistleblowers are warning the damage is already done. The extreme aluminium fallout is seeping into the soil, changing its pH, killing the microbes that feed our crops. Nano aluminum is coating the leaves of trees, suffocating forests from the top down, and it's entering our lungs, our bloodstream, our DNA, and our brains. Turns around in this article. This is Chris Exley, known by his colleagues as Mr. Aluminium, for his prolific work on the impacts of this known neurotoxin. After decades of study, he concluded that there was no aluminium in brain tissue, there would be no Alzheimer's. But it was only when he started investigating the link between aluminium and neurological disorders that his life was destroyed. The elite found a new kind of weapon, one that doesn't fire bullets. They flooded the skies with aluminium, a neuroreactive metal, a fine dust that slips past every defense we have. So they'll come out with these sort of like, oh, we're against you, you're against us, you're going to nuke us, we're going to nuke you back. Oh no, we can have this test. And they just like fob you off with these countermeasures. They're sort of like, you know, things that they've got there, haven't they? Not believing any of it. What's the point when you've got these weapons? You don't have to sort of like, you know, drop napalm from the sky. You can just go through a few sprays, can't you? Its purpose? Well, to cloud the mind, of course, to dull instinct and make questioning impossible. So many people are saying that they've got brain fog all of a sudden, all of these ADHDs, all this autism, all this Asperger's, everything pertaining to that, and the fluoridation of the food and everything else. So continuing. And when Dr. Exley got too close to the truth, the machine moved fast. Funding pulled, labs closed, his name erased. Dr. Exley discovered something the world was never supposed to know. The engineered metals weren't staying put. They were traveling through the bloodstream into the brain, where they disrupted absolutely everything. And when that exposure mixed with the metallic chemtrails haze, the effect multiplied. So this is why it's all crisscrossing, isn't it? It's like, well, that's okay and that's okay, but if you mix that with that, woo! And that's why it's all like, you know, Connect 4 overhead, isn't it? It's why you get one chemtrail plane flying over it, then you get another one coming from a different angle. Because when the exposures are mixed, the metallic chemtrails haze, the effect is multiplied. It wasn't nature, it was design, a perfect storm written into human biology. And according to Gates Foundation Insider, none of this is random. It's the next phase of control. More than 30 years ago, the blueprint was written in the first global revolution. Voila, 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 the Club of Rome admitted that to unite humanity under a single global system, they needed a common enemy. So they invented one: global warming, pollution, famine, crisis that could never truly be solved, only managed. While people rallied behind the fear, the elites pushed their real agenda. The Club of Rome are renowned for this depopulation and, as we've just said, the first global revolution pertaining to the climate lie. When it comes to depopulation, they came out with a book called The Limits to Growth. They also stole from the prophet Daniel the 10 kingdoms, which is why Donald Trump wants to eye up Greenland and Canada as the 51st state. So that is the first kingdom in the Club of Rome. The second kingdom in the Club of Rome is the UK rejoining Brexit and EU. Nazi that's in office at the moment, in terms of Ursula von der Leyen, who has been renowned for congratulating and celebrating the Club of Rome. Because to these guys, the true enemy wasn't climate change, it was humanity itself. And now the chemtrails are part of that same design. A quiet war on humanity designed to destroy our physical, our mental, and our spiritual health. Now, whistleblowers from inside the spray operations themselves are stepping out of the shadows, terrified, but too outraged to stay silent. God bless these guys that have been brave and bold enough. There's not blood on their hands when it comes to this. One insider from the Gates Foundation says the truth is far darker than anyone ever imagined. The goal isn't just control of the skies, it's control of the mind. They're dulling awareness, breaking resistance, and building a future where sickness is profit and compliance is survival. The global elites are waging war on humanity itself, poisoning the air, the water, and the food supply. We've covered, haven't we, how Larry Fink, BlackRock, owning everything, okay, as the CEO of the World Demonic Forum, turns around and says, now we're entering into the enforcement phase. And now a new battlefield has emerged. The new front is the internet, where digital ID, surveillance, and control will build a digital cage and create a new kind of slavery. Make no mistake, you are under attack. Really interesting article there. Okay, and I also just want to say as well, as exposing evil, all right, this article is from the People's Voice. Okay, they are very anti-Israel. I don't choose them for that. I choose them because they're controlled opposition, and I know how to sift through that. So in order that they remain a controlled opposition platform, okay, they have to speak in some truths, and it's discerning to know which is which, but they also have to give you some of the lives of their agenda. So natural news is a really great thing for vaccines and health, but they're anti-Israel. The same with the People's Voice as well, very anti-Israel. And these guys are the ones, you know, especially when it comes to, you know, ivermectin, that's just as deadly and dangerous as mRNA vaccines. All right, and I'm exposing now this platform because it's giving us all of that information that's really valuable to us. Some great interviews that are actually on this article. If you go into the link and you click the video pertaining to geoengineering makes humans smarter, you click into that. But what the People's Voice are also coming up and doing is they have literally got page after page after page, paragraph after paragraph, all talking about these VPNs. All right, so it's a case of, oh, well, you know, we'll just hoard up and just get everybody else, you know, onto our site. Okay, we'll deceive them and we'll speak out against all these evils, and then we'll offer them this ivermectin, which will kill them off anyway. Or what we'll do is that we'll pretend that we've got these VPNs that are unhackable so that they can have their privacy and confidentiality, and then they go and hand all those VPNs over to the government. It's just like a lot of people at the moment are getting sort of like done in by some of these oils that are around by certain companies at the moment. And they're finding that I'm finding that a lot of my friends are getting really ill, which is why I won't promote that anymore. But you're seeing the controlled opposition. So, okay, you're not going to have that. Okay, we'll offer you this as a supplement, as an alternative. And that's exactly what this particular platform, the People's Voice TV, have literally gone and done. Given you loads of information, loads of truths, and then it's tried to stitch you up with the VPNs. Do not trust any of these individual guys. And just as much as we've been speaking out against RFK and he's the leader of this task force, well, he's doing a really bad job of it, if you ask me. And he is Mr. Controlled Opposition when he wants to stick wearables and track and trace every single American. Be interesting to know what you guys think about some of this stuff here then now. Why has the people told me to pray they come to Jesus? Because I can't pray for the cockroaches. Yeah, Laura's saying, yeah, pray without ceasing. Yeah, that's okay. There's some people that can do that. I'm the sort of person that you send in afterwards when negotiations have failed, and let's just have at it. Do you know what I mean? I'm just like that. You know, there are some things where I can be peaceful and I can be negotiating and I can be objective and, you know, I can mediate. Yeah. Been there, done that. But there are some times where it's like, nah, you hate people that much that you want to do this to them. I have got no sympathy for you whatsoever. You're waging war on innocent civilians, and the government is literally attacking its own civilians. What's that about? You're indiscriminately targeting children, women, the elderly, the frail, poisoning us and allowing that to happen. And you're pocketing the difference, building yourself some nice little yacht so you can go and escape it, where they end up poisoning all of us, destroying the fabric of everything, let alone the waging of war upon God. Nah, man, I ain't down with sitting down and having a kumbaya with these people. I want them to experience justice, personally. Yeah, Vladimir, I do believe that they think they are invincible. Nothing can touch them. They are wrong. Jesus will have at it. Absolutely have at it with them. I believe that totally. It's all well and good to be sort of like brave from a distance, isn't it? It's all well and good to just to sort of constantly mock and scoff the Lord. The Lord will not be mocked. The Lord will not be scoffed. He will judge. He will repay. Vengeance belongs to him. What's hard for us as Christians is being the pacifists and sitting back and having to suck it all up, sitting in the middle and sucking on it. That's what's really hard for us. But there will be a day when we do come back with the Lord after we are raptured, and we come back and we reign and rule with him for 1,000 years. There will be no messing about with any of these lot. There'll be no cussing out. There won't be any sin in the earth. None of it whatsoever. We'll be incorruptible, immortal. Until then, we just got to put up with a little bit of crazy. But don't be surprised, guys, if you're finding your moods are being affected, you're finding, you know, you're starting to be sick and you're having brain fog, or you're having insomnia, or other bits of your body are experiencing, you know, some degree of an attack, aggravating existing conditions. Don't think it's just about your lifestyle choices. It could be with the weaponizing of all the food or the water or the 5G or the public, you know, digital infrastructure around you, let alone what they pump out in, you know, aircraft form. Laura saying here, question. Actually, I remember 2 years ago, the snow that that can be set on fire and burns. Yeah. Remember the fog vid this time last year, wasn't it? Just around Christmas. Whilst everybody was it was at New Year's and Christmas Eve and everything like that, Boxing Day, it was called fog vid. Please see the video on our Rumble channel pertaining to that. And it was just literally a blanket of haze, and it was like all being lit up and whatever with torches, and it was all as if it was alive. It's like you're breathing that crap in, man. There was no escaping any of it, and I was really lightheaded. I had like the swirly whirlies as if I'd drunk too much, you know. It was just like that kind of like that, and then the ear ringing and then migraines and just feeling it was so dry and powdery. I was in the British Army. I know what gas is, and I used to abuse drugs. I know what those things combined are. Do you know what I mean? I've been thrown into sort of like gas chambers myself, because you have to understand what these products smell like. And they had that chalky, metallic taste and smell. And it was a blanket for everybody as they were literally sort of like at home, wasn't it? Great way to get everybody, wasn't it? What's the question? Could these chemicals being sprayed help in the process of turning humans into human batteries when they roll out 5G? It's putting all these biosensors on them as well, isn't it? We've turned around, guys, and I hope you've seen our post in the morning. I pray you do, because there are new developments pertaining to Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates. Right, these two came up with a company. Now you've got Jeff Bezos wanting to get into space and compete with Elon Musk. These guys came up with with literally the mark of the beast, microchips, in the form of, you know, sort of like it was being able to be an injectable. Turn around and saying about the COVID-19 vaccine and it's sterilizing you, having self-assembly nanotechnology inside of it. Yeah, let alone the aborted baby fetuses. And now you're telling me that they've now got brain chips that are that can literally sit on top of a solitary grain of salt. They're that small, and you're telling me that they can't spray that out everywhere and then put us all on some grid, so that when Yuval Noah Harari turns around and says the next type of surveillance is going on in under your skin, there you have it, all in the ejectable. And now they're saying you don't need Neuralink sort of like brain chip, you know, in that sort of like transhumanist way. You can just have it being vaccinated inside of you, and then they'll, you know, already know how to aerosolize it so everybody can just breathe it in. Stick it in the food, stick it in the water, stick it everywhere that they can, because they want to know what's going on in under your skin. Because when we come up and all of these demonic angels come flying down, I hope they go face first, personally. All right, well, they come down, they're going to need all of this technology to track, to survey, to know who's loyal, know where people's fealty is, etc. Know where everybody is. This is why they're using all of this stuff around. So yeah, I think it could be used for some of that. Changing people's DNAs as well. Awful. Our birds, bees, dragonflies are almost none this past season. They are affected as well. Yeah. What's really interesting, and I've heard a few other people say this, is that, you know, when you're driving around, you usually find on your sort of like, you know, your windscreen, whatever, just like bugged out, you know, splat, 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 you know, cleaning them all off. None of that anymore. They also used to say that when, you know, swimming pools and things like that need to be scooped out, there'd be loads of dead flies, or none of that anymore. Why? Because Bill Gates likes releasing all of his mosquitoes and everything else that he likes to use those as sort of like vaccinators, doesn't he? So yeah, they're really having a knock-on effect to nature. And these are the guys that apparently are all about climate change. Now you know why Bill Gates has retracted on that, hasn't it? The slow reveal. Yeah, absolutely, Sue. These chemicals also cause infertility. You got men walking around firing blanks, and you got women that are having their eggs and their ovaries being seriously targeted. You're having a decline in birth rates across the world. The global genocide is here. No one cares about that. Thank you, Sherry. Matthew 5:44. But I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who are spitefully use you and persecute you. Absolutely. Amen to the word of God. I've been weighed, I've been measured, and I've been found wanting. Because no, sometimes I want them to suffer. I'm sorry, I do sometimes, and I know it's really wrong, and I know the Lord really pulls me up on that, but I can't sit back on some of that. I find it really, really difficult. There are times when I'm like, oh, Lord bless them, and then there's other times I'm like, no, the depravity of evil. If they get saved, great, I'll call you my brother or my sister, but if not, until then, you're my enemy, man. You wage war on God and his people. I've got no time for you, none. Personally, I know it sounds really unloving, but not everyone can sort of like do that. And I'm around darkness so much. That's why the Lord's also pulling me up on it and trying to get me to that space. So thank you for bringing in that word. I receive it. Bless you guys. Yeah, if Jesus does not return soon, we will no longer be in God's image. Time is ticking, absolutely. And this is part of it, what Jesus says, isn't it? For the sake of the elite, I will shorten those days. I don't think it's just pertaining to the fact that it's just going to be 7 years worth of tribulation, and not 10, not 12, not 14 years, but just 7. I think it's also the years that go in before, because if these depopulation maniacs have their way, there won't be anyone left. This is why Satan wants to turn us all into this transgender, ruin our identity, ruin our God-given image. That's why he's targeting the youth with the alphabet people and offering them gender-altering surgeries, confusing their identity and their sexuality. Absolutely, it's a front, isn't it? What they want us all to be Baphomite, you know, with bestialities and breasts as per the Baphomet statute. No, thank you. This transgender nonsense, evil. Yeah, some of this stuff is external. You know, unbelievable. Let's leave it there, guys, for today. As I'm hoping that you've been able to see that there was the read all about it, and then the read all about it too. I will be posting after this live is submitted. I'll stick a thumbnail on there just for you, and then there'll be a supplementary post that sort of like adds to what it is that we've been discussing as well. I'll put the article in the link there for you. We will be sort of like calling a day today. 17 years ago today, guys, I became a dad. So you know, please pray for my eldest daughter that she has an amazing day, and the like. I'll put some more posts up throughout the course of the day as well, guys. And as many of you know, we take Saturday off, you know, not because we're Shabbat Shalom, none of that nonsense, just because we just need a day, and that's a day that seems to suit myself and the team as well. And then we will, if we are here still on Sunday, then we will see you guys then. Thank you so much to our team. What a real blessing to have had so many that have come in and joined us. 62. I think that's probably one of the records that we've had on our lives. So God bless you guys. Thank you for your continued support, and pray over everything, and God be with you. Cheers now.